Well, hello, career thought leaders. We're so excited to see you today. And I'm just so excited to have William with us because, William, it's been a while. How are things going?
Things are great. We're living in a fun, exciting, crazy, scary, interesting time, right?
Yes, yes. And if you don't know William, it's been a while. So if you've been listening for a while, but you haven't met William, this is funny. So it calls you the pioneer of personal branding. And I think sometimes like that kind of old school feel we get with pioneer doesn't fit with what your brand and what I think of you as really the futurist as well. Not just that you started personal branding way back before most people were doing it, but that you also continue to stay up on the cutting edge of it. So William, I'm just so glad to have you here. You're still writing your Forbes article. Where else can people maybe have seen you around lately?
Yeah. So my Forbes article, and I'm doing some course. I've never done this before, but I'm doing actual public courses where people can attend at Maven, which is new. So like new technology and what we learned from what didn't work with COVID, where all asynchronous learning not the best. So yeah. It's hard to get away from me if you're interested in personal branding, I think.
I love it. I love it. Well, and this is so funny because we started talking 2016, 2017. I mean, I took your course back in 2012, but then you and I started talking more in those years. And I remember that it was this now everybody knows what personal branding is. And there was kind of a good and a bad to that because people would say, oh, personal branding is dead, or, personal branding isn't what you should be doing. Now I feel like we're in this whole new era with personal branding because of AI in some ways, where it is, if you don't have a brand, then you are generic AI, or AI might take your job if you're not able to communicate how you add value. So tell me where you're seeing personal branding fit into the world of work right now.
Yeah. So we've always said people with the strongest brands have the best opportunities. The opportunities come to them. They can make the most money. They can work on their terms, and all of that is still true. But now it's exponentially true, because what's going to happen is people are going to, without question, people are going to lose their jobs with AI. It's already happening, and it's happening in the first 6 months of this year. Twice as many people lost their jobs as all of last year. So we know that that's going to happen, but you know who's going to stay are the people with the strong brands, the people who offers, and because a strong brand means you offer something that's unique, differentiated, and valuable to a specific community. And so personal branding is more important. People think, oh, well, all that stuff that I did in person, I don't need that anymore, right? AI is going to do this for me, and it's actually not the case. AI is going to be the best tool, and the people who have a strong brand and know how to use AI are the people who are going to succeed moving forward. So it's an exciting time, and personal branding it's had these kind of lull periods, right, where it's okay, people learned it, now it's exciting, and then it's like, oh, everyone's got a brand, whatever. And then social media became, LinkedIn came out, and it was like, oh my gosh, everyone has to focus, and then COVID happened. Right now we're out of sight, out of mind, and this new thing is AI.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And then the fact that when you started teaching branding, it was this idea of the business of you. And that idea has persisted but changed. Now we're thinking about, okay, if you're going to be employable in whatever fashion you think about that, as a business, as a consultant, as an employee, you have to be able to, and I've got this little picture, it's like a briefcase, right? You've got your little briefcase of your skills, but it's not just your skills, it's also this idea of how do you fit? How do you bring value? And that's really what I love that you've done with the branding. It's so much deeper than a lot of people talk about branding.
Yeah. Well, my biggest thing. So I back in the beginning, and by the way, I just want to give a shout out to Tom Peters. I didn't create personal branding at all. Tom Peters is the brilliant futurist with the idea. I just took his idea and ran with it. And fortunately, because he's a futurist, he went on to like think about 8 other billion, cool things. And that's kind of how that started. And at the beginning, it was lonely. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody cared about it. And all I wanted was for people to talk about personal branding. And partly I started the certification program because I wanted colleagues. I was lonely, right? I wanted there to be a community around it. But what happened, I think, is that the term personal branding got hijacked by people who are creating visibility and influencers and people who that you can't get away from them. They're out there, but there's no real alignment with the community they're supporting, right? What is valuable to them and to their own, who are you and what makes you unique and valuable and incredible, and how do you use that? So I do think that what you do with all of your people, and you have that huge community you've built over time, so bravo for that. And what I do are really focused on what I call pure personal branding, which is really about that alignment between you and your audience and the differentiation between you and the other people who do what you do. And so it's a real human endeavor, right? It's not how do I get the algorithms to make me show up more in Instagram and things like that.
Yes, yes. And we've got the three phases, right? Knowing who you are, then knowing who your audience is, and then kind of connecting the dots. And this is where we can talk about how AI comes in. So AI can't tell you who you are, right? AI can't tell you who you are, but it can help with some of that. So I'd love to hear how you're seeing some of these AI tools being used to help people with that "who are you" phase in the process. How are you incorporating AI there?
Yeah. So a couple things. First, I want to say AI is never going to replace a personal branding coach, because there are things that AI can do better than any of us. I mean, I am just every day, I'm like, oh my God, right? Like crazy what AI can do. This is it's a human thing. It's a human to human connection in being able to really get clear about your brand, be able to articulate it. And AI is a tool that can help, but it's never going to replace a branding coach. And I think branding coaches now get to do the more fun, exciting stuff and spend less time doing the drudgery kind of things. And in the know phase, right, the first phase of personal branding, I think that there are two ways that I'm using AI right now. One is well, I'd say three ways. So one is to distill. So if I'm going to have a meeting with my personal brand coach, I want to go in with some distilled ideas. And so maybe I want to focus on values, and I'm going to be able to have a conversation back and forth. And with the audio version of ChatGPT 4, I think it's great to be able to do that. And what it does is it gives you some insights, but what you come up with is questions, right? And those are the questions that you can discuss with your personal brand coach. The second way, and this is a really, really great way that AI can be used, it's the best way in the no phase, I think, is taking disparate feedback and sorting through it and coming up with valuable insights that really no human can do. You know, if you have your LinkedIn recommendations and your customer testimonials and your employer's performance evaluation, plus your data from 360 Reach and the information you have from DISC and from Myers-Briggs, and all of that's really hard to really kind of make sense of together. But you pop all that stuff with the right prompt into AI, and you get some insight. Sometimes just again, it's validation. It's like, yep, I knew that, and great. But sometimes there was some nuance and some really valuable insights that no human would be able to do. And again, that means that becomes a discussion with you. So what do I do with this? And that's where that's not where AI is going to help you. It's where your brand coach is going to help. But the third way, and this is what I'm really excited about, and this is less about what AI can do for you, but what you can do for AI so that it can be a valuable tool for you. And so all this no phase stuff needs to be pumped into your AI. AI needs to know you so incredibly well. These are my values. These are my superpowers. These are my differentiators. These are my goals. This is my life purpose. This is what I hate to do. This is what I love to do. These are the things that make me crazy. The more this is my best work, the best writing I've ever done. These are the 5 topics I like to discuss. The more AI knows you, really, really knows you, the more anything when you're using it, whether it has to do with writing a bio for you or writing an article that you're writing or getting analysis on some jobs that you're considering pursuing, it's going to provide better value back. So I think the biggest mistake people are making right now with AI is they're treating AI like Google, transactional. I put some stuff in, it throws some stuff out. And I think they need to create a relationship with AI. What do you think about that?
Oh, I love that. So two things. One, when you hear this stuff about prompt engineering, which I think makes it sound scarier than it needs to be, the
Yeah.
first thing that they all talk about is context. And what you were just talking about, that's the context that AI needs to have to help you. Who are you? What are those values? We're going to talk about audience here in just a minute, but just that internal piece of getting in that information. So two activities that you could try at home. One of them, I got it from a business coach, that was put in all of the things that disgust you, and we're using that emotional word on purpose, all the things that disgust you and all of the things that make you smile. 20 and 20. You got to do 20 disgusts. It's really hard. It took me like 2 days to come up with 20 disgusts, and a lot of them were related to children. But it doesn't matter. I was like trying to get work ones, and I was like, just couldn't get to 20. So I went into personal things. When you put those in there and you say, what does this tell you about my values? The output was amazing.
Mm.
So that's actually one of the new prompts and processes that we're adding to the CPBS this time. And we had one of your CPBS fans. Yes. Yay. I don't know who Jordan B is, but thank you for sharing that. But this idea that you can share a story or share a bunch of stories and have it pull out the themes or threads, but that's the context. And people will say, what about privacy? And you don't need to get personal. You don't need to include personal information or names of people. So you don't have to worry about that privacy piece. Just telling the story, you can take out the details that would be an issue privacy wise. But I love that you brought up that context is what makes all of your output better.
Yeah. And I go one step further. I think I have this new document, 34. This is what I've learned over 2 years. 34 best practices for using AI. I think you need. I think you need to name your AI. Mine's called Monique, because it forces that relationship thing. I'm not going to bark orders at Monique, but I might bark orders at a prompt, right? At a little input thing, right? And so we can't be treating it as Google. So in the morning, I'll say, "Morning, Monique." And we do our thing, and we have our conversations, and then right from the beginning I say, listen, like there's certain things that ChatGPT, at least that's my ChatGPT 4 is my go-to, that drive me crazy. All the emojis and the M dashes and the formal words like utilize instead of use. So right off the bat, I came up with my list of things, and I'm like here's some things that would really help me, put in a really nice way, and so already the stuff is coming back, and the amount of interaction I have to have with it is much lower. So please and thank you. Altman had a big post in X saying you shouldn't be polite to AI. It's costing me millions of dollars with processing power. Actually, you should be polite to AI, because when you're polite, you have built this relationship, and it means that you're going to be really thoughtful about how you bark orders, right? It's going to be really much more clear. Hey, here's what I'd really like you to do, and please don't do this, and whatnot. And I have found simple things like that make it so much more productive and actually more fun. I have a new colleague.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I tell people, to think about it as your assistants or your colleagues. And it's great to not just use one. So depending on what I'm doing, I might go to Gemini, because Gemini is my other favorite one. They've been doing some research and testing, and it's actually one of the better models. So I use Gemini and ChatGPT most of the time. Claude sometimes, but it drives me nuts with just the interface, which some people love and I just don't. So finding those two colleagues that you can bounce ideas off of is big picture is great. Okay, but we were talking about this, how it can know you, and then it can help you get those themes. And then we were talking about, and people always say, get ChatGPT to sound like you. But of course, we know the other big part of branding is your audience. So how are you using it to help people better understand their audience?
Yeah, so it's great. By the way, just on that last point, this is a really important thing. Uh, um, no matter how much your AI gets to know you and how really responsive and you've built this relationship, if you take what AI spits out, you're not you're becoming less of a brand and more of a commodity, right? Because there are certain things that it's just going to spit out in certain formats. And so, for example, I tell people don't use and I hate to say this because LinkedIn is a client and I really love them, but don't use LinkedIn's AI to write your about or any of your profile. You know why? Because it's using the stuff that it's written for the other billion people who are in there. That's its data set. And so what you're doing is you're becoming more generic and less differentiated.
And its model is the worst, right? Use ChatGPT, use anything besides it. Sorry, LinkedIn, but no, don't. Just don't do
exactly.
it.
And then don't use just what comes out. Like you
Right.
still, there's still a layer of getting that right. And part of that, by the way, is the audience piece. It's right. The third part, your unique promise of value, right? It's unique because it separates you from everyone else who does what you do. It's a promise because you commit to delivering it, and has value to the people who are making decisions about you. So everything has to run through that filter as well. It can't be like, well, this is on brand for me, I'm going to put it out there. Who's the community of people you're looking to impact, influence, and impress? And then how do you modify that? So knowing your community is really great, and this is an like an amazing part of ChatGPT. You can here are 10 people I work with currently. I want to do more work with people like them. Here are the links to their LinkedIn profiles. Identify people I should know in my community, and it will help you get that. Or here's a whole bunch of people that are in my community. Tell me what the consistent thread is across these people, or find out everything you can about this company and this person, because I'm going to be pitching something to them, and tell me some things that I absolutely should do during the pitch and I absolutely should not. Right. And so anything that's publicly available, they're able to get. Sometimes you have to put the links in, and it will tell you that you have to do that. But it's really helpful to get to know that audience so that you know what about you is relevant and compelling to that community.
All right. Sorry, we have to take a time out because the one, the only Deb Dib. Oh my gosh, Deb, it's so good to see you.
Oh my gosh. Giant, I want you to know, I want to say something amazing. Deb Dib is one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my entire life. I absolutely adore her, and I got to write a book with her. This is my second book, and when I say write with her, she's like this kind of writer, and I'm like that kind of writer, and it really came out great because of her brilliance and wisdom. And so I'm forever in Deb's debt, and I know that now she's off in retirement doing cool things. So hi, Deb.
Yeah. Hi, Deb. Well, and so this is my husband, credit to my husband. Because when AI first came out, of course, I was doing live streams on it the next month, like, oh, ChatGPT it just came out. We got to do something on it. And he was starting to incorporate it at work. So he's in marketing, product development, and was doing jobs to be done. So customer personas with jobs to be done using AI. And he talks a lot. He's an extrovert. I'm an introvert. So he talks a lot. I listen. He's talking. And I'm like, I bet that we could do that for my small business owners and for job seekers. So for the last 2 years, we've been perfecting this process. And a lot of marketer teachers do this now. But how do you build a persona for that hiring manager? And it is brilliant. So what you're doing is you're taking these billions of data points out there that people like Deloitte and McKinsey, they had access to before for a lot of money. Now we all have access to that data. So you go and you say, okay, I'm interviewing with, like you were just saying, I'm interviewing with this person, if you know the person, but even if you don't, I'm interviewing with the VP of marketing at HP, and it can pull a persona of that person. What are they looking for? What are they afraid of? What keeps them up at night? What do they really care about? What do they want in that person that they're hiring? You can ask all those questions, and it will build an avatar persona for you. And then you could say, okay, now based on my stories, my resume, which things should I highlight? And again, you don't want to let AI do all the thinking, but it can help you connect the dots and put you in that mindset of what does this audience really care about that I can do so that I can connect the dots. And we just finished our second day of a business boot camp where we're going through and creating our offer and a lead magnet towards that offer. And even some of the folks that have been in my community for a long time, they're like, oh my gosh, Marie, I didn't know it could do this. And it's just so empowering to get outside of yourself, which is what a coach helps you do. But now, in addition to the coach, we also have this tool that helps us reflect and just really think about who the audience is. And it's it's so fun to watch. I don't know if you've played around with the personas at all.
I think that is absolutely great. So here's the thing that you're doing that's amazing, Marie, is you really, you're an innovator, I think, by just nature, right? And you like you know what, your husband could have been going on and on and on and on, and you're like, oh yeah, that's all right, that's interesting. But your head spinning like, how can I use this and integrate this into what I'm doing? And I love that. And so bravo, credit to him. Yeah, I think this is great. And this, again, this goes back to why having a brand coach is helpful, because you might do all this stuff with Chat GPT and it'll learn about you. It's not gonna help you do that and then make the most of it and then come up with your pitch to that person, whether you're looking to get hired or you're looking to sell something to someone. So I think that's really brilliant. And the thing that you said about it that really like sparked something for me is you're absolutely right. The reason we didn't do this before is because if you're an Accenture, you could pay $1 million for this data and use it across your 600,000 consultants, right? But we didn't have access to this kind of stuff. And now for $20 a month or whatever you pay for your, like we do, right? And so,
Yeah.
So bravo for that. That was a really interesting connection you made.
Oh, it's so much fun. Well, and then you think, okay, now I know my audience. And what you had started to talk about a little bit too is then how do I start connecting the dots? So you're having these systems help you brainstorm the people that should know you, right? Or the people that you want to get to know. Tell me a little bit more about how you're using it in that kind of grow and extract, or not extract, we already did that, the exude phase in terms of actually building the brand, which is what most people think of when they think personal branding. They forget about all the hard stuff underneath. But once we get out to the communication piece, then how do we use it?
Yeah, well, so a couple of things. So in the second phase, right, express or show, number one, the best thing to do is come up with your elevator pitch, have ChatGPT customize it for the person or group of people that you're speaking to. If you're doing networking things and things like that, you can really refine it and make it be exactly on target and get them to ask you the question you want them to ask you so that you can go on about whatever that is. So I think that's a valuable thing to do. And the other part on the which I think helps both in the first phase and in the last phase is getting an understanding of your differentiation from others. And so I can go into ChatGPT and say, who are my peers? You know a lot about me now. You've read my whatever. Who are my peers? And put together a table that describes and you come up with the categories. And I literally have a table of the people that are according to ChatGPT, my colleagues, based on all this data that's out there, and what my differentiation is from each of them. What's my differentiation from each of these people? Now, here's my audience. When you look at this contextually with these other people who might be speaking to that same audience, how should I lead? And so it's really incredible, absolutely incredible with that. It can also, and I'm only experimenting with this now, is, people think, oh, I don't want to be in all the social media everywhere all the time. And, where should I be? And so if you come up with sample people and say, tell me where I should be, what, what's the stuff that they care about, blah, 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 blah. It can really help you spend less time creating and publishing stuff, but getting more maximum impact from the stuff that you create when you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been probably, I don't know, a year since we were doing our personas. And then we'd ask the persona, what do these people read? What podcasts do they listen to? What social media channels are they on? And I always felt the social media channel suggestions are really, I didn't really believe that they were connected to the persona. It was like everyone was LinkedIn. It's like, well, the demographic data of, the it's like the 11th or 13th social media in terms of monthly active users, and people are only on it 48 minutes a month, which if it's your ideal audience, sure. But for most of my career coaches, their ideal audience may really not be on LinkedIn every day, right? They're working, and maybe they're kind of thinking about job search, but they're not out there on LinkedIn job searching because they're working. And so anyways, I always felt that those suggestions were not as great as I would like them to be. But the idea, and at least getting started, you can use AI to help you. And then, as you were saying, I think at the very beginning, you can have it help you come up with your threads, right? Your pillars, or whatever people want to call them, in terms of the conversations you want to have with your audience. Are you using it for that as well?
Yeah, and I think the good news now is that you can, if you pick out people, especially if you've been doing something for a period of time, or you have access to a community of people, you're working inside a company, and you know who the marketing manager, who your counterpart is at every other company, or whatever, right? We have that information, and we can feed, even if your AI tool doesn't have it, you can feed it in through people's LinkedIn profiles, through their social media posts and whatnot. To really understand, I think, the differentiation, the pitch opportunity, the hot buttons that people are thinking about. I think all of that's really, it's simple now, and before it wasn't. So we kind of didn't do it.
I love that. I'm gonna have to try that out with the table of your competitors, and that is so great. Well, then look at who else came today.
Oh, oh my gosh, it's amazing, Susan. I
Yes.
always love Susan. Susan's I like will never not do stuff. She's always doing stuff. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Susan.
Hey, Susan. And then we have Hillary. Hillary's been in our community for a long time. Thanks for joining us, Hillary. And I'm Kathy. Thanks for joining, Kathy. I love that. And she was responding to your idea of the differentiation table as well. So that is brilliant. Love it. So when we think about, now we've gone through knowing yourself and that figuring out what your messaging is going to be. And then you started to talk a little bit about, how you can be on every channel. And this might get out of the, just LLMs. Are there any other AI tools you're using to help you with your content repurposing? Any of those other tools that you love?
Yeah. Yeah. So by the way, the one thing I'll say is, you really only need to create one thing and make it a series. So the top 10 things that do what, and you can get a whole year's worth of stuff created, and links back and forward to all the other pieces. And it's a great thing to do. Big thing I'm using now is Pictory for video. I'm a big fan. So one of the things when I create content, so for my Forbes column, they own my article for 1 week, and then it reverts to me. So after a week, I ask for a script to an article. It will give me a script. I will modify the script, and then you go into Pictory. It is a great way to create. They have stock video. They have all kinds of AI voices you can use. They have background music that you can use, and you literally frame by frame can produce a video so easily. And video, as you probably know, and everyone who's ever heard me speak, it's the most powerful tool in the virtual world, because we deliver a complete communication. It really can create emotion and do some things that we can't. So I think Pictory is the best thing for video. Video, it's 11 times more likely the same content in video shows up on page 1 in a Google search. It's Gen Z and Gen Y's preferred communications tool. It really does allow you to say a lot in a very short period of time. So Pictory is my big go-to thing, and I'm doing a lot of work. I'm doing before, if I was doing a big keynote for a client, I would have my video people create a 60-second video, and it would cost me somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000 to do that custom. Now I do these for myself, even for like smaller keynotes, and it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. So there's a lot of applications. It's not just for putting things up in Instagram or YouTube. It's how can I use video more pervasively throughout my whole business.
Yeah, I love that. So Pictory is one I haven't used yet, but I used to use a system called Video that would do that same thing. You could put in a script and it would make the video for you. I haven't used Video in a little while. Just yesterday, so I've always been a little down on Canva's AI, but just, I don't know, yesterday or earlier this week, someone was showing where you can prompt to video in Canva AI now if you have the Pro. It's not quite what you're saying. You'd like put in a prompt of, a woman drinking coffee at a computer, and it will make a little video B-roll for you. Yeah. So if you haven't tried that in Canva, you go into Canva, just bottom right, it says create a video. So
I got to talk to you more often, Marie. You are on it. Your finger is on the pulse. I didn't know you could do it. I've not been using. I haven't been I haven't even used Canva for AI at all. But that's actually really good to know. I'm going to go in and check it out.
yeah. Well, and then you will see tomorrow or third or the next day. I don't even know what day it is. Next week, you'll see clips from this. And I don't know if you have a clipper tool, but I love to use Opus Clip to take my live streams and turn them into clips. It's the one that I love. So that's my other favorite video tool. But what you're talking about is repurposing, right? Repurposing from the list to the whole month, repurposing from your article to a video. And that's part of what, as a small business owner, but even as a independent job seeker or someone who wants to be a consultant, I think there's just so many tools now that can help us do that. Any other tools?
Those are the big ones. I don't know that I have any that I would say this is something that's a must. I try to check out what gets sent to me. I mean, with my Forbes column, I get sent an AI tool every day.
Yes.
But I don't like to recommend all of them. I love your idea, by the way. I want you to know you changed my mind, because my thought was work with one AI tool, because the more it gets to know you, the more interactions you have with it, the better the output's going to be. The only time I call in another AI tool is when I'm just not sure this just isn't right, and I need someone to kind of tell me. But your point was a good one. I think why should we have only one assistant and I have to say, I feel like I work for Monique, because Monique is way smarter than I am. But why should we do that? Why shouldn't we? And maybe even, we learn that each is better at something. So yeah, a lot of food for thought for me today, Marie. Thank you. I feel like I'm a participant here. I'm learning so much.
Well, I'm excited to go back and use some of the ideas that you shared. And as you know, we've got our personal branding class coming up in August. They shared a few of the new AI things that we'll be using, but we still follow the same foundational process that you created and that I had the advantage of taking way back in, I think I took it in 2012 or something like that. So I just, thank you so much for the pioneering work that you've done. And, we had Deb Dibb and Susan Critton who wrote Personal Branding for Dummies. So all of these voices that have added to the brilliance of this course. So thank you so much for all the work that you do and all that you're continuing to do.
Well, let me say this. Thank you for I think the best thing that happened to the certification program is it moving to you and your organization for a lot of reasons. Number one, you have a built-in huge community, and that's part of what this is about. There are a million people doing a million things out there in personal branding. This is the one unifying methodology that's being used by more people in more places, and everyone has their own little spin on it. And you've been able to bring that community together, which is great. The second thing that I think that you've done is your level of innovation that you keep adding and making it better and making it more and more relevant to what's happening in the world, which is happening so fast. I think I could never have done that. I just didn't have the bandwidth to do it, and maybe I didn't have the mindset that you have to do that. So I do think it's the best program out there. It's better than it was even way back when I was involved, and it's without question, it is it's a gift that keeps on giving, because I know that once people are part of the community, all this new stuff that you come up with, they have opportunities to be able to engage and to constantly stay relevant in a world that's changing so crazy fast. So so bravo, and thank you for doing that and for all that you do for the community.
Oh, thank you. We have quite a few people that were joining today that have already taken the course. So watch your email, because we've got a community call coming up in just a few weeks where you can reconnect with folks. We do that once a quarter on Zoom. And it's such a fun program. And for me, it was such a transitional point from thinking, I had to be like other people, or I wasn't going to be successful because I wasn't super extroverted and all of those things. And it gave me that confidence that I could be successful being who I was. And that's what I love to see of the students that take our class, and then the individuals that they work with. It's that ripple effect that keeps happening from the great work that you did. So thank you so much for all of that. And we are going to go and have a great weekend, but it was so wonderful to chat with you. Thank you all for commenting and engaging with us. And there, Deb. Thank you so much. I'll see you next Tuesday for Trend Tuesday Live. And then the first Friday of September, we'll be back here talking more about AI. So thank you, William. It was so good to see you.
Excellent seeing you. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao,
Thank
everyone.
you.